everyone. I welcome you all on behalf of Aryan School. Today we are here to throw light on the new National Education Policy. Present government has announced National Education Policy 2020 and has brought major changes in the educational system. Each and every child has unique capabilities. These capabilities can be well nurtured through this new education policy. Our principal ma'am of Aryan School, Mrs. Sonal Bant, will help you out to understand the new national education policy that will be implemented in near future. I hand over it to our principal ma'am for the further session.
Hello parents, this session is specially arranged to orient you about the National Education Policy 2020, about which a lot of talk has been going on, and it is going to be implemented soon in all the schools. So I am here to take you for a journey about exactly what the policy is about and what does it speak about. So to start with, first national education policy was introduced in 1968, after which the second education policy came into being in 1986. Then after almost 34 years of long span, now the third National Education Policy 2020 is introduced. This policy was it was formulated by the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. T.S.R. Subramaniam, and afterwards it was formulated by the ISRO Chief, Krishna Swamy Kasturi Nandanji. Now, before I go into the details about the policy, I would like to tell you that what factors are there, why the education policy is necessary for us. So there are few things you all know about during the ancient times, we had Gurukulas. And in that Gurukulas, the children used to go stay with the gurus, and it was Varna oriented, in the sense that the Brahmins were taught Upanishads and Vedas, the Kshatriyas were taught warfare, Vaishyas were taught business, and Shudras were taught some manual skill. As the thing progressed and the Gupta Empire came into being and Buddhism was implemented in the country, we could see a major change in the education policy and universities came into existence. We all know about the Nalanda University, and the unique feature of this was that it was no longer Varna-oriented education, in the sense that if the father is a potter, the child had full scope to go in the other forms of education as well. After this came the Mughal invention, and with it they brought an impact of Islamic education on the education policy, and science and art were prominently, we could see the importance given to science and art prominently during this stage. Then came the British with the colonial empire, and that time the Persian language took a back seat and English language took over. It became a means of communication, because during that time Britishers, they wanted some people who can speak in English to be more communicative and to help them in their administrative work. Hence, English took a dominant seat in the education system. Now, you must be wondering why I'm telling you all this. Parents, this all things tell us one thing, that every education policy, whichever is formulated, the main objective behind it is to create a society which is required during that time, and to have streams of vocational and professional posts which can be helped for the children in that particular time. Taking consideration of these two objectives, the recent National Education Policy has come into existence. So let's now proceed into it. We'll go slide by slide. I will tell you how the policy is going to be formulated. So first of all, I'll take you to the slide of vision of the National Education Policy. It says that an education system that contributes to an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all. It develops a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental rights, duties, and constitutional values, a bonding with one's country, and a conscious awareness of one's role and responsibility in a changing world. It instills skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development, and living and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. Now, if you see the vision, you will understand that Indianism is weaved into it. We are really very lucky to have such a rich and varied heritage. India had been on the pioneers not only in the finance but also in education and culture. To name a few, Panini, Chanakya, Brahmagupta, Aryabhat, all these people are the scholars of repute during that time, and they have contributed largely in the education policy. But due to a lot of factors like inventions of the people in our country, the generations now are forgetting enriched culture and the heritage of our country. Hence, the national policy of education that you can see now focuses more on being an Indian. The sense of pride, the sense of belongingness, the sense of unity, all these things will be instilled into the child right from the beginning, and that is the reason they have kept this vision, because in spite of so much diversities that we are living, there is only one knot that ties up together, and that knot is that we all are Indians. So this is the vision of the 2020 NEP, and that is what in this particular slides they talk to us about. Let's proceed. I'll go to the next slide. We will talk about the principles of NEP now, that exactly what are the parameters, what exactly do they want to achieve through this policy. So the first one is that the respect for diversity and local context. Right now I spoke to you about the diversities. There are so many languages, there are so many food habits, not only that, the clothing style, even the weather, which varies in India. But in spite of all this, we all are together, we all are united, we all stand together in all type of odds, and this has to be respected, and this respect has to be instilled into the children. And that is what they say, that respect for diversity and local context in all curriculum, pedagogy and policy. The next one is equity and inclusion. We have so much variations in the socio-economic strata, different genders. We have mentally, physically challenged people, and all of them should be included, should be a part of this education policy, where there will be equal weightage and equal treatment given to everybody who is an Indian, and that is the principle, key principle of NEP. The next one is about the community participation, where encouragement and facilitation for philanthropic, private and community participation. Now here, they are inviting the private schools to come up with a philanthropic approach, where profit should not be the only criteria to start the school. And in this part, from their end, they are going to make the documentation and giving the affiliation process a little more feasible and easy for the people, so that maximum schools are opened and all the children of India get an opportunity to be literate and to be able to be a part of the NEP. Use of technology. Parents, you all know that it has become a part and parcel of our lives now. In fact, right now also I am using a technology to reach out to you. Otherwise, physically we need to call you, and then the workshops were usually taken. But now, after the COVID especially, the things have really changed, and even for that matter, the teachers who were not very much technologically savvy or sound have now become totally literate, and they are managing the technology very beautifully. Hence, technology will be the key factor. It is going to play a very important role in the NEP. The next is emphasize on conceptual understanding, which says that rather than rote learning and learning for exams. This has been spoken of lately many times, but unfortunately it was not been implemented. Somehow our pattern right now, the structure of the prevailing education structure revolves behind rote learning and memorizing. You have to just remember the things which are written in the textbook and come and vomit them on the answer sheets, and you get the marks, and you are so-called learned or knowledgeable. But if you, as we progress, you will understand that NEP is totally against it. Rather, it is going to be totally eradicated. There won't be any rote memory and memorization henceforth. Unique capabilities. We all are unique. We all of us have special USPs, special features, characteristics, and that needs to be identified and work on. Now what is happening is the child has been pushed into some of the profession which he is not interested in, or which the personality traits are not supporting, but still he has to do it. Henceforth, the situation will be totally different, and the unique capabilities of the child will be recognized, and he can pursue his interests and likings accordingly. The next one is critical thinking and creativity. Now regarding this, like I was talking to you about a lot of changes that are going to come in the NEP. But in that, when we are talking about rote memory and memorization to be eradicated, there are some 21st century skill sets which needs to be instilled in the children right from say the age of 3 and 4. Now what are these skills? These skills actually rotates behind 4 C's, which is critical thinking, creativity, communication and collaboration. So these 4, you can say the set of skills will be developed into the children, which will help them in the future to stand on their own, to leave a mark. The next one is a continuous review. For any policy to be successful, it is very much important that continuous reviews of that policy has to be done. The loopholes needs to be monitored, and educational experts will be appointed for that, who will be from time to time reviewing on this, and the policy will be upgraded from time to time. So these are the principles of NEP. Now I'll take you to the next slide, and this is one of the most interesting and important slide of today's session. As you can see, there are 2 blocks over here. The first block talks about 10 to 2, which is the existing academic structure, and the other block, which has got 4 blocks in it, it talks about the new academic structure. Now what is the difference? You can see that it has been divided into 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So exactly what is this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4? I am going to explain to you now. The first 5 years of the foundational stage, which it is called as, comprises of 5 years starting from nursery, lower KG, upper KG, first standard and second standard. During this time, it is like we call it as a pre-primary section. You must be thinking that what's new in it? But till date, the pre-primary section was working in isolation. There was no governing body. There was no quality check. There were no rules, no criteria, no syllabus, no curriculum. All the schools were, trending according to their wish and will. But now they will be a part of the main schooling. Hence, they will be having a governing body on them. There will be a quality check from time to time. Why it has been done? Because we all know that 85% of a human brain is developed when the child is 6 years old. Hence, these 6 years are of utmost importance, and we need to really make use of them, and corrective activities or corrective concepts needs to be instilled into the child. And that is the reason why it is called as a foundational stage. We have to create the foundation so that the building that will be constructed in the future will be strong and supportive. Hence, this foundational years, I told you about 5. After that, it goes to the preparatory stage. Preparatory stage will be of 3rd standard, 4th standard and 5th standard. It comprises of 3 years. Now, this is a transition between the playway method, the activity-based learning, to little more formal classroom learning. The children will be, introduced with subjects like mathematics, science, humanities, art, physical education. So this is going to be the preparatory stage. The next one is the middle stage, which again comprises of 3 years, which is 6th, 7th and 8th. In this, the 21st century skills sets that I was talking about, like critical thinking, analysis, then evaluation, assessment, creation, all this problem solving, all these skills will be enhanced during this time, and it will be through experiential learning that the child is going to learn. I will go a little deep in the next slides about this. So now, and the last stage is the secondary stage, which is for 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Now, this is the most interesting and most, I must say, most welcoming stage, wherein now there is going to be no strict demarcation between the streams. In our times, we used to have arts, science, commerce, and then in one of the streams we need to go, and we were specific about that. Like if you are going for science, you have to take all the subjects that are related to science. You cannot trend into other streams. Now, the things are going to be totally different. Here, the child will get an opportunity to take the subjects of his interest. Like for example, I am interested in physics. I take up physics as my first subject, but at the same time, I am extremely interested in economics. So my second subject is economics, and my third subject can also become music. Here, one thing I would like to mention, that henceforth, there won't be any co-curricular and curricular activities, or we call it as scholastic and co-scholastic. Everything will come under scholastic, because now it is a proven fact that there is nothing called as co-curricular and scholastic. All the things like, for example, sports, art, culture, all these things are also a part of the scholastic. Hence, there will be lot of choices, and the learners are going to get an open forum from which they can choose their subjects and go further for the further studies. So this was the structure as such. We'll move ahead. Now let us go to the salient features of the stages. One by one, we will go a little deep into it so that you understand exactly what the policy speaks about. The first one is the foundation stage, where play activity based learning is what is going to be focused at. We always talk about playway method. In Aryans, we are already following this playway method and activity-based learning, in the sense that the holistic development of the child has been taken care, where the 4 major areas like physical, social, emotional and cognitive, all the 4 areas are being taken care of. So now in this stage, it is not necessary that you have to give a pencil into the hand of the child and make him write immediately. Instead, we have to see about his gross motor skills, that are his muscles, whether he's able to jump, whether he's able to run, whether he's able to climb, whether he's able to slide. Once he acquires this, maybe in nursery, then the next step is to work on his finer motor control, that is his grip, his wrists, his tripod grip. All these things will be taken care of, which goes under the finer motor skills. here in the cognitive development, a lot of pre-writing skills, pre-reading skills, pre-numeracy skills will be developed in a child. The reason behind it is that this, as said, this is a foundational year. So we have to prepare the child, we have to lay the foundation for the child so that once he goes in the higher standards, whatever concepts will be introduced to him, it will be easier for him to grasp. So like I'll give you an example, like if you show the figure 10 to the child, so the child says this is 10 and we are very happy. Oh, the child knows 10, but does he really know what is 10? When will we understand that he really knows 10? When he understands the value of 10. When he says that yes, these are 10 cycles and these are 5 balls. So the differentiation between the values of 5 and 10, when he is able to do that, that is the time when we can say that yes, the concept is clear. So that will be focused on majorly over here. I am so happy and so immensely proud to say that Aryans is working on this, not now, but from last 10 years, we are working on the same pattern, and I think we are treading on the right path, I must say. Now, as I spoke to you, there are going to be other developmental areas as well, which needs to be looked on. For example, social development, emotional development, and as you can see the last point, focus on teamwork and cooperation. If you see the present trend that is going on in all the jobs that you see around you, there is a major factor called as a teamwork. You know, an individual supremacy on a particular aspect is no longer exist. It is an collaborative effort of everybody which comes together and produces the project or the job, and hence this teamwork is going to be the highlight. For this reason, we need to instill values in the children. We have to talk to them about care, empathy, sharing. All these skills, life skills will be instilled in them at the foundational level. Let's go to the next one. Now this is the preparatory stage, as I was talking to you. So now that 5 years have gone, the children are now ready to go for little formal type of learning. So it is a transition, as they have written here, gradual transition from play-based learning to more formal classroom learning. Now here again it will be more interactive class learning. Like we always talk about this, that the exposure needs to be given to the child. The child should be, his curiosity should not be hampered. He should be given a free hand to ask a lot of questions, because most of the learning that happens is from the ability to have that inquisitiveness in the child. So that inquisitiveness plays a very vital role, and for that reason, this preparatory stage is come into existence. And now here they will be introduced to the subjects like formally, like physical education, art. It will be now divided into in the foundation years also it was there, but it was not classified, it was not categorized. Now it will be categorized into physical education, art, languages, science and mathematics. Another very important thing that will be taken care of will be the 3 major skills that are required, that is reading, writing and speaking. So the emphasis more here will be whether the child is able to read properly, speak properly and also to write properly. Let's go to the next stage, which is the middle stage. As I was telling to you, in this stage, it is more pedagogical career methodology, and subject teachers for learning and discussion of more abstract concepts will come into being now here, because the maturity level of the child has now increased. So the abstract level of concepts will be introduced, and along with that, what I was talking to you about, that 6 to 8 they are going to focus more on the coding part. they are saying that coding needs to be taught to the children at this age, because the jobs that are going to be there in the near future will be around all these things. Computation, coding, all these things are going to play a very vital role. Hence, coding will be introduced at this age, at the grade of 6th to 8th. Okay, now the next one and the last one is the high school, or you can call it as a secondary stage, where I have already spoken to you that there won't be any strict demarcation in the no streams as such, like for example art, commerce, science, but multiple choices will be available for the child, and as I said, he can choose as per his liking. And of course, there will be a greater depth about the C's that I spoke to you about: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, analysis, evaluation, creation. All these things will have a greater depth into that. So these are the four, you can say, the stages that the child will go right from the age of 3 till the age of 18. So now let's proceed. Now, there are some important features about the stages which I would like to mention over here. Like for the age of 6 to 8, that is the grading 6 to 8, it is now been said that vocational training needs to be given. Now, why vocational training? Parents, if you see that most of the jobs that are existing now, it is like it has been, there are trend analysts who have been appointed for this particular thing. These trend analysts are the futurists. They predict that what is going to happen after 20 years, after 30 years, and through their predictions, they have come out with this type of policy. Now, in this, they are saying that very soon, most of the jobs will be replaced by machines. We are already seeing it happening. So there will be a lot of machine-oriented jobs wherein the human manpower demand is going to get reduced. Then what is to be done? In such case, the vocational training, where the skill part is involved, that will play a very vital role. Hence, the vocational training has become a part of the curriculum in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Now, what are the children supposed to do? They will be going for the workshops like carpentry, electric work, metal work, gardening, pottery. So they have to choose one of the field of their interest, and they have to go there and take a proper, you can say, a certificate course regarding that. They will be evaluated, assessed also on this. And another thing which the policy says is that we should be giving more weightage to the local craftsmanship, or the local, you can say, like for example, we are staying in Maharashtra, and Maharashtra is very famous for Kolhapuri chappals in Kolhapur. So now, if the children are taught the craftsmanship of making Kolhapuri chappal, so that is going to help them in the future. Similarly, the Rajasthan for the tie and dye, Madhubani art. Not only that, even for the food, like Mysore Pak is something which belongs to the region Mysore. So the children should be attracted towards this specialized local items, local, you can say, the craftsmanship, and they should take training in that. That is what they are going to tell about this. In the next slide, I'll tell you that they have made a proper schedule for this, that how this will be implemented. I'll be talking to you about that. So Like I started with the history of India. So again, the knowledge of India is going to play a very important role, because everything is very much in our country. Unfortunately, we have forgotten it because of the impact of the westernized culture on us. We have forgotten that actually most of the things are being invented and innovated in our country. And how will this happen? How will the sense of pride, again the sense of belongingness, how will it be again instilled into the children? Hence, the knowledge of India is going to play a very important role, wherein a lot of things about our country, about our heritage, about our culture, about our education, all these things will be shared with our children. Next is vocational education, as I said. So like what I told to you, that they will be going for the carpentry and electric work. So it is going to be compulsorily 10 days bagless school. So for 10 days, the children will not have anything to do with academics. They have to go for these courses and they will get a certificate out of that. Apart from that, there will be local artists who will be called in the school. There will be specialized experts who will be called, or the children will be taken to the exhibitions, to the field visits, so that they get exposed. They can be with them and learn a lot of their skills. Now, the aim is that by 2025, at least 50% of the learners shall have vocational education. That is the aim of NEP. Now, health education is also very much important. As we all know, prevention is always better than cure. And if we want to have a healthy generation, a healthy society, then we will have to take extra efforts to bring in the health education. For that, there will be again basic training in the school during the schooling, where in health and this health doesn't talk only about the physical health. It also talks about mental health, it talks about spiritual health, social health, and emotional health. So all these things are equally important for any child, and it rotates, of course, around nutrition. So a lot of emphasis will be given on the nutrition part. Along with that, they will be taught first aid as well in the schooling. Now, multilingualism. Now, this is something again which is very much appreciated and welcomed by everybody. We all know that mother tongue is something which we really are most comfortable in. Why? Because from the time we are conceived by our mother, from that stage to that stage that we start speaking, the only language that we hear maximum is the mother tongue that is spoken around. Hence, by the time we start speaking, we are already, the vocabulary is developed. So the thinking process of an individual depends upon the mother tongue. So his thinking process helps him to learn, to grasp the things faster. Hence, it is a proven fact that if the education is imparted in a local language or in the mother tongue, it is easier for the child. The major thing about this was what the analysis was about the dropouts. Because in the rural states or rural areas, there are people who have a lot of phobia about English language, and then they don't do well, and then they just back out. They are no longer learning. They no longer pursue their education. To curb this down, it is now introduced that till 5th standard, all the education will be done in the mother tongue. So this is again something which is, I'm sure everybody is going to like it and love it, and very much welcomed by everybody. So let's move further, and now let us talk about the highlights of pedagogical structure. So now we had been talking about so many changes that are going to happen in the education policy. So in that case, the curriculum also needs to be set in such a way that there is competency based education to be imparted to the children. Now, what is this competency based education? Now, mostly it is seen that whatever we had been learning It's not that everything that we learn we are able to apply in the future. Many of the concepts or many of the things, many of the topics have lost the practicality in today's life. Then what is the need of teaching those concepts? Why should it be taught? Because as we have already discussed, that we are preparing the child for the future. We have no idea that exactly what type of jobs will be available for the children next 20 years, 30 years. Hence, we should be designing the curriculum in such a way which has got a competency based. When we talk about competency, again, we talk about those 21st century skill sets. I'll give you an example. In today's question papers that have been set, what happens is that a straight question has been put to the child, which is completely linked with the bookish knowledge, in the sense that the child has to learn, to memorize, and then only he is able to give the answer. For example, write the religious reforms by Akbar during his reign. Now, in this, if you have not read Akbar's reforms about religion, you will not be able to answer. But if the same question is put in such a way where we ask the child that according to you, what is the difference between the reforms brought in by Aurangzeb and Akbar, and which reforms in the religion do you think are right? Please comment. Now here what is happening? The child is analyzing, evaluating, assessing and creating. So all the 4 skills he has to use, and then he writes an answer. Again, there is no right or wrong in this particular answer. It is his views. It is the way he puts his views in front of you. So these are open-ended questions, and it involves the skills. It is not only rote memory or memorization. So these type of exams papers will be set henceforth. Lot of emphasis will be given on the HOTS, that is high order thinking skills. There will be questions which are application based, which will not have the answer directly. You will not find the answer directly in the textbook, but if the concepts are clear, you know exactly what is needed, you are able to give the answer, and that is learning. There is a lot of difference between knowledge and learning. Knowledge was, in our times, the teacher was a reservoir. You have to go to the teacher for anything, or otherwise you have to run to the library, you have to search the books, find the content, and then you have to produce. Now the things are only at a click of a mouse. So now what is needed is the analytical thinking, the critical thinking, the assessment, the capacity to assessing, evaluating, and then creation. Hence, now this competency-based education will be the challenge for the school leaders, where they are going to impose this type of curriculum for the children. The next is the integration of subjects. Now, all the subjects are linked. They are all interlinked. If you see, there is no demarcation between art, science, math, languages. Everything is correlated. I'll give you a beautiful example. I had been to a school where, the children were playing on the ground, and there was one child who was noting down the data. The data was how many turns he took, how many lifts he did, how many throws he has taken. All these things was written. I was wondering that why in the physical education class this was been done. Next, when they came to the class, and when I saw the same data was utilized to make it into a graphical representation on the screen. How beautiful. So the practical knowledge what the child is getting is implemented in application-based curriculum. That is what they talk about, integration of subjects. So now the teachers also will have to think from this point of view. The art teacher will have to think how she can help the science teacher. The science teacher has to think how she can help the mathematics teacher. All these things are going to be correlated. The next is the development of scientific temper. We just now spoke that robots is something which is going to be a big challenge for the children, because most of the things will be taken over by the robots. But there are three major aspects which are, again, as I spoke to you about the trend analysts, the futurists, these people have analyzed and said that there are going to be three major areas where the robots or the machines cannot replace men or human beings. So what are these? The first one is creativity. Of course, there are robots who can write poems, or who can write essays, or who can paint. But if you compare those robots with the human beings, there is far difference in the quality and in the creativity. Hence, the creativity is going to remain intact forever. It can never be challenged. It can never be replaced by the machines or by the robots. The second thing is the innovation. We have to, from time to time, think about the innovation. And that is where the vocational part, the vocational training, what they had been talking about, is going to play an important role. Hence, we will have to pursue our interest in such a way that we can create something new. And that innovation will help us with the job opportunities. The third one is going to be the things which needs human touch. Like, for example, if Ratan Tata and Ambani are into a sort of a memorandum of understanding, where they need to sign on a document. Now they cannot send a robot for that. Physically a person needs to go over there, be there, try to understand what the other person is trying to tell, and then only he will be able to do this. So wherever there is a human touch involved. Another thing is that you are admitted in the hospital, and just think about it, if a robot comes to you and says, how are you feeling? Should I give you a pill? You will get irritated. You will say, hello, please get me some human being who will ask me, will try to understand what's happening to me and will understand my feelings. So all these things where a human touch is involved will remain intact. So we have to train the children in such a way where, so now if we are talking about human touch, there's human qualities will play important role. Hence, we have to talk to them about the caring, sharing, empathy, sympathy. All these things are going to play a very important role. Hence, this, values needs to be inculcated in the child. Now, no silos among subjects learning, we have already spoken about this, that everything is going to be together. There won't be any curricular, co-curricular, scholastic, co-scholastic, nothing. All will come under one, that is the scholastics. Then emphasize on digital literacy. This we have spoken, technology, we cannot just go by without the technology part. Hence, digital literacy is going to play a vital role. And promotion of multilingual teaching. This also, again, the same thing, that if you teach the child in the mother tongue, where he understands more easily, when he doesn't have the phobia to ask questions, because he'll be talking in his language, which helps him to, overcome his problems, or his problems where he has not understood the concept, is going to play a very important role. So let's move further. Now, we spoke about all these things. So now the question arises that when is this NEP going to be implied? Now, in that case, this National Curriculum Framework for School Education, that is NCFSE. This is a undertaking by NCERT, and they are already working on it. NCF was already there. I was talking to you about the national policies of 1968 and 1986. Between 86 to 2020, National Curriculum Framework played a very vital role, and they were the ones who were sending the guidelines to the educators and the mentors about how to take the curriculum. Now, this same NCF is been converted into NCFSE. They are going to send the guidelines to us, and as per their guidelines, we are going to implement this national education policy in our schools. Now you will ask when this is going to happen. So this is like a big ship. It takes time to turn. All that was been discussed in the policy cannot be implemented immediately in 2021 or 2022. It's going to take its own time, its own space, but it is estimated that till 2030, between 2030 to 2040, the whole policy will fit into the curriculum, and full-fledged the policy will start working on with. So this National Curriculum Framework for School Education is also going to work on the textbooks, and all the textbooks as prescribed by them will be followed by the schools henceforth. Then comes the assessment and the report card. There is a lot of things going on saying that there won't be any board exams. So let me tell you parents that board exams will be there 100% in 10th standard and 12th standard. Only the form of the board exams might change. It can be in a semester pattern, it can be, it can be in small segments, it can be taken, or it can be one whole exam. That thing is yet not clear to us, but 100% the board exams will exist, and the assessment of the children will also be done in a little different way. So the report card that will be generated will be a 360-degree analysis of the child. So now when you will come for the report day in the school, the teacher is not going to tell you that your child has failed in mathematics and your child is very poor in languages. Instead, she is going to talk about the unique capabilities what I had spoken to you. Like for example, she can just say that, you know what, your child has got a beautiful communication skills, and you know, he makes friends very easily. I think he should go for the marketing field. He will do very good in the marketing field. So when a teacher speaks about this at the age in the grade 6, 7, 8, I think that straw will be very beneficial for the child and the parents to pursue his liking towards that particular trait. Hence, the report card will revolve around 360-degree, and it will be overall judgment of the child. It will not be about what the child does not know. It will be about what the child knows. So this major difference is going to be there in the assessment and the report cards. I think with this, mostly we have covered everything. But before that, before I finish with my presentation, I would just like to tell you a few things. That this policy not only talks about comprehensive learning, job opportunities, creating a society, but it talks about creating a society which is vibrant, full of dynamics, a society which is a happy place to live in. The people are happy when they contribute to the development of own self and development of the society. So the skill sets like creative thinking, critical thinking, 21st century skills, competence based education, doing away with culture of coaching, all these things are going to play a very important role. This policy is all set to take India to a new height, to give India the new position which it had in yesteryears. But the implementation will depend upon you, me, and the population at large. So it is very much important that we understand the policy properly, and as per the guidelines specified by the NCFSC, we proceed forward to make the future of our children bright and aspiring. Thank you very much for listening to me patiently. Thank you.